President for People and Workplace Culture. And I'm excited to be here with you this morning to have an opportunity to give you an update on Strategy 11. So Strategy 11 is a strategy that has been kind of continuing to evolve. As we started it, initially was specifically focused, and yes, good morning, Trina, to scale two specific programs, our Search Advocate Program and our Diverse Faculty Fellows. But as the team and really the college community has been digging into our hiring practices as well as our why around Strategy 11, and hopefully you joined the plenary session this morning and heard a lot of our why, we've realized that we needed to broaden this strategy to be more about diversity in hiring. And so today you're going to hear from a variety of people across the team that is doing this work. And there's a lot of people doing this work because it really is a shared effort and not just about the two programs as well as the other things that you're going to hear about. So the first thing I'm going to do is introduce the team today, and you're going to hear from almost every one of them in the next 50 minutes. We've got a lot of stuff happening, so please feel free to use the chat. We're going to have it up to have people ask questions, and we will do our best to answer them as we can. So first things first, let's talk about the team. So I introduced myself. I'm Sarah Reed. We also today have Craig Gardner, our Assistant Vice President for Human Resources, Anjali Pai, our Director for Staff Development and Employee Experience, Marner Fisher, our Director for Employment and Compensation, James Broadbent, our Director for HR Faculty Services, Kelsey Pesta, the college's Business Process Analyst, Dr. Juan Kadri, which hopefully you heard from this morning, doing a great interview with one of our students. And last but definitely not least, Whitney Harris, one of our previous Diverse Faculty Fellows and now Assistant Professor in Fine Arts. So as I mentioned, we have a lot to cover today. We're going to talk a little bit about setting the stage for where we are now. So you're going to hear about we talk a lot about being the most diverse institution in a variety of ways, but we really wanted to dig into what that is and make sure people understand that. And then we're going to talk a lot about what we're doing and have an opportunity for folks to learn about the different efforts that we are. And then finally, this is a cultural effort. This is a college effort. And so we want to have a little bit of a conversation around what you can do as well. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the diversity of our employees, and I'm going to hand it to AVP Craig Gardner.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Craig here. I get the privilege to talk to you today about SLCC diversity. Now, there's a lot of topics in diversity, and so what could we talk about? We could talk about disability diversity, social diversity, ethnic diversity, gender diversity, sexual orientation diversity. We could talk about religion and creed diversity or diversity of thought. But I get to talk to you today about racial diversity and more from the numbers perspective here at SLCC. So let me start with a question. What percentage of our full-time employees identify as Hispanic or Latino, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, Asian, Native American or Alaskan Native, or two or more races? So if you think about that just for a minute, and again, these categories are determined by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. So we've got 30%, 22%, 13%, and 7%. So as you think about that, the correct answer is 22%. And so that's a ratio of our full-time employees. So if we go to the next slide, one of the things that we do is we always track statistics and things that we look at. And so as we look at the same percentage of our full-time staff, how do we look at that in hiring? So as you look at in year 14-15, we had about 27% of our hires were people of color, and kind of went up, got as high as 40% in 18-19, and it kind of drops in 19-20. Well, what happened there? Well, most of you know that beginning in 2020, we kind of had this little thing called COVID, and the college instituted a hiring freeze. And so that did have an effect. And it also, in any of those years, we hired the lowest number of staff that we've hired in the last 5 years. And so we do watch that and try to look at that. So in our next slide, we look at the faculty hiring. And so what percentage are our full-time faculty? And as you take a look at here, it kind of I always say graphs look like the stock market. They kind of go up and down and do different things. But this is our full-time faculty hiring. And so we're kind of in between, again, the 23% drop to 15, back up to 25%. So it changes from year to year, and it's nice to know what that is. So on our next slide, we take a look at the exempt and the non-exempt ratio. And this is kind of a classification of the Fair Labor Standards Act. And so for all of our employees, where do people of color work? And so when we take a look at exempt employees, those are full-time administrators, executives, full-time faculty, full-time professionals. 66% of our people of color work in those occupations. And then 34% work in our non-exempt areas: secretarial, technical, skilled craft, service, and maintenance. And of course, we want diversity at all areas of the college, and it's exciting to see. And to kind of pull this together, let's take a look at the historical reference of the college. And I kind of began tracking this data in 1991. So this is probably a good barometer of the college. And as you can see, it starts about 8% and it kind of goes up, flattens out a little bit, goes down, goes up. And we're at about 22%, as I mentioned before. And so there's been a lot of progress at the college. Are we finished? Absolutely not. We have more work to do as a college. So that's my presentation. I hope you learned some things today about Salt Lake Community College diversity of our employees.
Great, thanks so much, Craig. As we were thinking about how we were going to put together this update, one of the key things that oftentimes, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, we talk about being a diverse employer, but people don't necessarily know some of those details. And part of what we want to do is have an informed college community in areas around our data. And as Craig mentioned, he's been tracking this information for a long time, and we continue to look at not only our hiring, but also looking at our retention, our climate survey, and employee engagement around the experiences of our employees. But we know that we are here as employees for our students. So the next piece of things that we want to talk about is the diversity of our students. And our special guest joining us today, despite being extremely busy, being somebody working on making SLCC 360 happen, we have AVP Laura Lee Edwards to talk a little bit about the diversity of the SLCC student population.
Hi, and thank you very much for welcoming me today. So as you can see, our student diversity has gone up considerably, or well, in a couple of percentage points, from 28% to about 31%. We seem to be holding steady there. If you put this back into the context of looking how the SLCC students' diversity relates to our employee diversity, we have a slightly more diverse student body than we do within our employee base. But also, if you were at the plenary this morning, you also saw Vice President Aird talk about how we also want our students to reflect the community in which we live. And our students of color are actually, we don't have as many students of color at SLIC as we do in the county as a whole. And so we have a couple of opportunities here, both in terms of increasing the diversity of our student body, increasing the diversity of our employees, and then more importantly, helping translate who comes into the college with results and outcomes in terms of helping them get through their programs and graduating with a degree. I don't want to take too much time today, but if you're interested in seeing how this metric breaks down by demographics, by specifically each of the different ethnic groups, I would encourage you to go look at the slcc.edu/plan website. We have a couple of links there to new dashboards that will help you dig into that data so that you can see, while we have 31% of the student population here as students of color, when they graduate, what percentage of Hispanic students are graduating? What percentage of Asian students are graduating? And that is really where you can see the equity gap that we need to close on the student side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura Lee. One, for taking the time to be with us today and presenting the information about our students, but also for making SLCC 360 happen. So now, for those of you who are with us, we're going to have you participate. For those of you who have been to any of my sessions, I like to get people involved. So we've talked about the diversity of our employees and the diversity of our students. So now's the big question of, why does it matter? So what I want you to do is think for, I'm going to give you about a minute to think. And if you don't need to think, feel free to throw it into the chat. I'd like to have us have a little bit of shared insight into why this matters.
So we have some coming through here: exposure to unique perspectives, new ideas and processes, reflect the diversity of our student population. We can learn from each other. We're stronger when we have differing perspectives. Diversity and inclusivity, increase student success. Students work best when they see themselves in the classroom. Yep, students see themselves in the professors. But we have a lot coming in now. This is good. So representation, so we can serve the community. Diversity offers different perspectives, ideas, gives us a better understanding of differences. That's the fun part, getting to know our coworkers and their unique perspectives. Students of color feel more welcome. Diversity is our strength. Diverse staff and student populations allow for representation of different cultures. It matters to get different perspectives, absolutely. Exposure to different cultures and ideas. Demonstrate to our students that they have more opportunities than what they may have envisioned. It is not, let's see, and everyone, yep, so diverse representation in our bodies that make decisions, helps everyone feel included and creates unity, success through other people of color and marginalized groups, be able to relate better to faculty and staff if they can identify, serve our Salt Lake community, represent culture and culture that represents a group of people and how they think. So the students have good role models, a sense of belonging, seeing their identities reflected. Students need to see themselves in their potential future self. Increases creative problem solving. These are really great ideas. Gosh, and there's still more of them.
I love it.
Makes them feel at
absolutely love
home.
it. Yes.
Yeah, better
yes.
communication.
This is exactly the why. And I think sometimes, as we want to be an absolutely data informed institution, we also want to honor the why behind the data that we're trying to collect. So as thank you, Kelsey. I know there's a ton watching them as well. And I hope everyone will take the time to read and really think about that why, because as each of you said, there's a wide variety of reasons for the why. And one of them starts with role models. And the research shows, and it shows over and over again, the need for us all as people to have an opportunity to see role models that look like us. And that having that role model also enhances belonging. It creates resilience. It creates more persistence for our students. And ultimately that leads to more student success. So when we talk about having a faculty and staff that represent the county with which we serve, and understanding that this is an effort for all of us to do across the college, and why it matters, because it matters to our students. And that's why we're all here, is to see every single student who comes through our doors feel welcome, feel like they belong, see someone who looks like them, and feel like they can be successful. So we have the data, we have the why, and the next piece we're gonna get into is what we're actually doing around Strategy 11 right now. And I wanna echo what Kelsey said, so thank you so much for participating. Anybody who's been in any session with me knows I like to have voice in it from a lot of people. So the next thing we're going to talk about is what we're doing. We're going to talk about our Search Advocate program, the redesign of our Diverse Faculty Fellows program, as well as the broader process improvement efforts that we're doing in an effort to strengthen our hiring practices and to ultimately strengthen our faculty and staff. The first program that we're going to discuss is the redesign of what we previously called our Diverse Faculty Fellows. So we have our newly minted faculty coordinator, Dr. Juwan Kadri and Whitney Harris, to tell us about the work that they have been doing over fall and now into spring. Juwan and Whitney, over to you.
Juwan, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Juwan, we can't hear you. Now it looks like you're muted again. Now try. No. No. We can see you though. No, still no.
I love technology. Whitney, start and we'll see if Juwan can log off and log back on and see if we can get her microphone working.
Gosh, you were just in it leading a session. That's so strange.
I know, it's frustrating.
That all of a sudden it's not. Make sure you've selected. Do you see the chat, Juwan? The help in the chat? Okay. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Sound great, Whitney.
Hi, and good morning, and thank you. We just have a short time to talk about the design that we've been focusing on, which is to embed racial equity into our institution, starting in the professoriate. And like many of us know, that we do for the least of them, or the people that are traditionally pushed to the fringes or forced to live in the margins, and just aren't thought about as much, tends to benefit everyone. So ultimately, we envision that being the case here. And so since we just have a short time now, we do plan to sort of seed this program and this design around the institution. Many of you are likely part of committees that will hear more of this information. But so we were asked over the summer to redesign this experience. There were a couple of focus groups with the first couple of cohorts of what was then the Diverse Faculty Fellows. And based on our experiences, as Sarah said, Juwan and I are both previously Diverse Faculty Fellows. Based on our experiences, the experiences of others in our cohort, we're designing what we feel like will be a more racially equitable experience for faculty of the global majority. So we have some recommendations for today that hopefully everybody at the institution, like Sarah was saying, this is work that everybody is responsible for. And so in this first information sharing, we have some recommendations for, I guess, everybody at the institution to prepare for this cultural shift. And one of them is that cultural work such as this requires us to be in relationship with one another. It amplifies that need because this work requires vulnerability. It requires a willingness to lead or to follow rather. And so for you, that might mean following different people, or if you're used to leading, then you are following, and that requires a great deal of trust that can be developed and built when we're in relationship. Taking the time to be in relationship also sets a necessarily different pace for this type of work and keeps the people at the center. So rather than strictly being connected professionally and focused on producing products, we see one another as fully human, and we recognize that, and we stay focused on the people, which creates more equitable processes that in turn better serve everyone. So I'm going to check in. She's not on my immediate screen. I want to see Juwan.
Can you hear me?
Hey, yes.
Thank you, technology. So thank you, Whitney, for starting us out. Did you cover embedded into the institution?
With as much time as we have, and so
fine.
now we're at recruitment, hiring, and retention.
Okay, so part of what we were thinking about when we talked about this process and worked through this process is really that recruitment, hiring, and retention are are linked together. They aren't these kind of silo parts where one group does this, one group does this, and another group does another thing. With recruitment, we're really talking about thinking about recruiting differently, not advertising in the places that we've always advertised. Building on the relationships, especially from faculty of the global majority, that may have networks that are not here in Utah and maybe other places, that we think about hiring outside of the US possibly, that we're really being thoughtful and preparing in a different way to recruit people. As far as hiring, we're talking about really thinking about equity, racial equity when hiring. Many cultures have an oral tradition. And so many of our interview processes are pretty quick and fast paced. And that doesn't allow for some of the storytelling and relationship building that many communities are used to. And so thinking about that and other hiring practices, that we think about the experience that faculty of the global majority may be bringing that looks different than what we're used to in the academy. And that we don't just recruit and hire, but that we retain people. Because we know that some of that number drops off. You may get people in the door, but you may not be able to retain them. So we're thinking about ways of retention that are built into the program and into the institution.
To prepare us to, again, not only look for faculty of the global majority at every faculty rank, but also to get them here and to create guardrails and safety mechanisms for a welcoming and a safe space where they can thrive. There are some things that the institution is responsible for creating and developing. Some of those are structural and pragmatic changes and responsibilities, such as a specific structure of leadership and support where we know that faculty of the global majority are being thought about. It also requires securing more sustainable funding, which is largely different from the first iteration of the Diverse Faculty Fellowship Program. And then there are also ongoing trainings and orientations and things that will need to be developed and offered. And there are some certainly already at the institution that we can expand upon. Those will include things like spaces for being in relationship, where people can come as they are and they can bring their anxieties and their excitements about achieving racial equity. It will inform people about a necessarily different process for faculty of the global majority, where we can teach and inform and have conversations about things like racial and gender tax that are assessed differently to this particular group.
And next we had some tenets, what we call tenets of the program. And one of those tenets is mentoring and support for the faculty as they come in. It's important that the structure is there and it's not relying on kind of the good graces of people who can think about them that it may not be their role. So having that piece built in of mentoring and support that faculty of the global majority move into. The second part of our tenet is training, that we're making sure that training is clear. I'm sure this is not just related to faculty of the global majority, but it's also related to all faculty, that it may not be clear what the training is. And so if people are in community with people, they may not know what trainings are there. So making sure we build that in and that people have a structured training and not just go do this, go do that. Oh, you were supposed to do this, so that it's built in. Next is reassign time. For those of you that may not know, and some of you may know this watching those of us that are faculty of the global majority, we are pulled in a lot of different directions that have nothing to do with the classroom sometimes, but it is because we have a perspective that is important to think about related to our students. So we're proposing a reassigned time for faculty of the global majority because we are called on campus and outside of campus to think about communities and our students. And so making sure that we are not having a tax for being a person of the global majority and that tax is accounted for in the service and work that we do. Next, we have the service opportunities, that they're clear. And I think I wasn't here, but I'm sure Whitney talked about embedding things in the institution. And so part of that really is that the service opportunities, we start to look at the places where faculty serve, and we make sure that faculty of the global majority are included in that process, whether it's Senate or pathways or tenure committees or department chairs, that they are a part of that. That is a part of their service, and it embeds it, and it's not this kind of separate thing. Lastly, we had professional development, and there of course are a lot of opportunities, but again, there may not be people dedicated to that particular area as faculty of the global majority. And as one of those areas is search advocates. There are a lot of opportunities, but I'll highlight a few of them. Research and publishing, grants, AQ, that people are a part of the process and not on the back end when things are maybe confused, that this is just a part of what people come into.
And so we've touched on this before, but this is really about broadening our perspective about what are equivalencies, what actually prepares a faculty member to do the larger job. Like Joanne was saying, a lot of it happens outside of the classroom for all of us, but an exceptional amount of it happens outside the classroom for faculty of the global majority. So broadening our perspective about what prepares a faculty member to successfully do this job and be in community with the community that our provost would ask us to be a prized possession of, right? But it also, that we are expecting to find faculty of the global majority at every faculty rank. And so we've mentioned that the necessity to have guardrails and a structured experience for faculty of the global majority, in part to sort of safeguard against being pulled in all of those directions and not having the invisible work brought to light. So we've designed an experience still for teaching assistants, what were formerly called fellows, but also for faculty of the global majority who are prepared to come in on the tenure track, and also that we are actively seeking faculty of the global majority at associate and full professor ranks to provide mentorship to other faculty, not just faculty of the global majority, and to be able to do things like bring in research and work differently with our students and with our community.
So Sarah, before you transition to the next, I'm everybody that knows me knows I don't like acronyms very much. And we used a term, faculty of the global majority, that may be confusing. I want to invite you to be in conversation with me because we didn't have the amount of time that it would take for me to explain it. And so please email me, have conversations with me, because I want you to know what that term means and how we came up. We didn't come up with it, but why that term is now being used.
Thank you so much, Joanne and Whitney. We could have done an entire session. In fact, we could do days and weeks in terms of both the work that both Whitney and Joanne are doing, as well as kind of the deep work at the college level that we need to be doing. But one of the things as we were looking at how we talk about Strategy 11 is what Whitney and Joanne just shared with us is really a global strategy for the college for a lot of different things. It's not only for hiring, it's for creating an employee experience. And as Whitney said, well, when we create an employee experience that is great for everyone, everyone is lifted in this process. And we're excited about the work and that it will continue. And I do want to echo Joanne's invitation. I'm sure Whitney also has one to get involved and please engage in the conversations and ask questions. We want people to see not only Strategy 11, but really all of our equity work as our work. So as much as I hate to transition, because again, we could continue on this for the entire rest of the session, I want to hand it over to, Joanne mentioned our Search Advocate program. So Anjali Pai has taken over the leadership of our Search Advocate program in the last few years and is going to give you a little bit of an update.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Sarah, and thanks, Joanne and Whitney. So first, I'd actually just like to start by expressing gratitude for the 40 or so search advocates who are volunteering in this program. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Next, I'd like to introduce Shaw McNeil, who is our new coordinator for equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a good first half of your day. Like Anjali said, my name is Charlie McNeil, or Shaw. I just started like 2 weeks ago, so I'm very new to the college and excited to be here. I am the coordinator over the Search Advocates program. I'm going to be putting my email in the chat. So if you want to join us later or find out any more about the Search Advocates after Anjali's presentation, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Shah. We will certainly be thinking about the comments that both Juwan and Whitney made in terms of design and research, tenants, and various things as we work toward moving the Search Advocate program forward. So thank you for that. So Search Advocates are trained members of our community, and they promote equity, validity, and diversity on SLCC searches. And that's the definition that we currently use of the Search Advocate program, and I would include in there justice as well. So thanks, Shaw, for putting in your email there. Next slide, please. So Search Advocates are making an impact, and really in three main ways that I'd like to highlight: more diverse hiring committees, expanded recruitment strategies, more inclusive language on job descriptions and interview questions. Hiring committees that work with Search Advocates are generally more diverse in terms of cross-college participation and diversity of thought. Search Advocates are helping hiring managers expand a job applicant pool by targeting diverse employment networks, including those located outside of Utah during recruitment. So this approach helps us enrich and broaden our community by bringing in applicants who have never considered working at Salt Lake Community College or even Utah. And lastly, Search Advocates assist hiring managers by developing job descriptions and interview questions that feature more inclusive language and assist with more equitable interview practices. One of our goals is to have each department send at least one person to be trained as a Search Advocate. Shaw and I were just having a discussion yesterday, and this is her idea, and I just love it because I think what a great way to make an impact with this goal in hiring. So think about that. Think about how you yourself could participate as a Search Advocate, or if you're somebody who can help encourage Search Advocates in your department. So if we could send each department each person in a department to the next Search Advocate training, what an impact we could make. So if you are interested, again, Shaw put her email in the chat, but if you really want to know more about the roles, the expectations, and a little bit more from Search Advocates themselves, we do have a panel this afternoon, and I invite you to that session. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Anjali. Welcome to Shaw. We are excited to have her join our team as well. I love the idea of having a Search Advocate in every single department. I love the idea of us continuing to have conversations and all of us learning about the principles that Search Advocates learn. So please reach out to Shaw if you are interested. If you want to hear more from some of the Search Advocates, which I've seen that some of them are on here. I see Nick, and I've seen some other folks that are on that are currently Search Advocates, and you can hear what it's like to really be one on a search committee. So we've talked about two of the programs, and those are the two programs that originally, when Strategy 11 was created, we were thinking about. But as we've continued to expand our thinking about how we refine our hiring processes, our recruitment processes, and I did see a question about recruitment. When we're talking about recruitment, we're talking about how we are attracting talent in our employee spaces to the college. We've also have a work group that has been working on kind of updating and redesigning our hiring, really looking at streamlining. So next we're going to hear from James Rodman to talk a little bit about the faculty portion of that, and then we'll hear from Marty Fisher to talk about the staff side. So James, over to you.
Thanks, Sarah. With a college focus to strengthen SLCC's organizational culture and to recruit more equity-minded faculty, For our students, we need to place a more value on our college visions, mission, and values in the recruiting and search processes. So Human Resources is creating a library of suggested interview screening questions that emphasize these values and will aid in the selection of candidates. In addition, the committees are encouraged to use suggested supplemental questions to evaluate the candidate's experience in working areas of diversity and inclusion. Go to our next slide. Okay. So to answer the call that we've had for more streamlined process and the requisition and approval of positions, Cabinet approved 2 levels of approval for replacement of faculty positions. Now, the Associate Dean will submit the requisition to the Dean for approval. And then after that, the requisition is then submitted to Budget Office and Human Resources for final posting. So all new positions are still required to be approved by the provost through informed budget process and other funding mechanisms. However, this process now will shorten the approval, obviously the approval process, and the Dean will have the final, or the Dean will be the second level of approval for replacement positions. Also streamlining the approval process and positions that need shorter posting times. The Dean now has the option to approve the postings for a minimum of 10 days, business days, or 2 weeks. So hopefully that will help out in areas that are more difficult to recruit in and need a quicker turnaround time for posting. In disciplines that are typically having a smaller applicant pool, the committee now has the option to move directly to first interview stage when there are 5 or fewer applicants that meet minimum requirements. Once again, with those areas that are more difficult to recruit in and have smaller pools, this allows them to go right into an interview with, if they have 5 or fewer applicants that meet minimum requirements, instead of doing the paper screening and the committee screening and all of that. So hopefully that will provide them with some greater, to streamline the process. Finally, to answer the call for providing opportunities to advance our adjunct faculty to tenure track positions, the Dean has the option to conduct an internal search for an assistant professor position. With this option, the adjunct and other employees of the college can apply to the position first. If an employee is not selected from the internal pool, the position then will move then to a national search. So we think that this will be a great opportunity for hopefully for our adjuncts to be able to retain some of our adjuncts and to move forward into giving them opportunity for advancement and giving them first opportunity to do so. And then I am working on updating the faculty search committee handbook. Actually, not just myself, but we have a committee, the redesign committee on this. And we've had throughout the couple of years, we've had different places that we've told you to go to for referencing. We've had the diversity hiring resource guide. We've had the handbook. We had the policies and screening forms and everything. So my goal is to put all of this together in the handbook, and hopefully maybe expand that in the future into maybe a website. But so we'll have some questions in there for suggested questions and insights in the community. So we just want to streamline all of our resources into one as well. So that's all that I had. I'll just guess we'll turn the time now over to Marnie.
I'm going to take one pause real quick, James. So first, thank you, James, for covering the efforts around faculty. As I hope you heard, James said a couple of times in response to feedback. A big piece of this work is also us looking at where there are pain points in our hiring and recruitment processes and trying to ease those as well. And that's a big piece of where Kelsey Pesta comes in as our business process analyst. She's helped us really look deeply at the experiences of the hiring managers, as well as the next step is to look more deeply at the candidate experience as well, under the leadership of Anjali Pai and with this committee. And I did say, I just want to honor one, I love the chat. That's why we did this type of a meeting. We wanted to ensure that people could interact with each other. That Melissa commented or asked a question about, could only administrators be search advocates? Anjali, thank you for answering. No, search advocacy is open. And we'd love to have a broad pool of individuals across the college to have it. And also, yes, Kelsey is invaluable, Whitney. The question about, should there be training for everyone? We really see search advocacy as a cultural movement. We would love to get to where everybody who's on a hiring committee has a greater understanding of bias, a greater understanding of how it can creep into job descriptions, and sometimes how it is overtly out there, and have open conversations. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had rich search committees having conversations about how we're really making sure that we're looking deeply at all of the candidates that come to work at SLCC? With that, I'm going to transition over to Marnie Fisher to talk about some of the efforts we've been doing in our staff spaces.
Thanks, Sarah. As Sarah mentioned, the streamlining that we are working on for the staff side is including different options for our search committee membership. So for full-time staff positions, we want to provide options to hiring supervisors in a pilot program. These options are a hiring manager sit on the be part of the committee and use a search advocate, or the hiring manager and one additional individual be the committee, or using our traditional hiring manager uses the current search committee setup that we already have. I will say with option number one, the search advocate, as we get more, this would be more available, but we are trying to get those in as fast as we can and get people trained, but we do have a limited number, which is why it's so important that anyone who has the desire to be officially trained as a search advocate and is willing to sit on other committees, that we get people in as quickly as possible. So we appreciate the enthusiasm and we look forward to seeing people in our search advocate program. These options are for full-time staff level positions. Depending on the position that is going to be filled, it may not make sense to use a two-person search committee and move to and use the traditional committee instead. But we want to be able to provide options that we have not had in the past. This is a pilot program, so we are collecting feedback to make sure we are headed in the right direction. Once we have enough feedback, we will take the steps to update the hiring policy, procedures, and the handbooks as necessary. And just as a side note, administrative level positions will still use a search committee tactic. On the next slide, you'll see some additional program changes, such as allowing a 3 work day posting for internal searches. Currently it's 5, so we are going to pilot a shorter for internal postings, shorter time frame. And then much like the faculty processes for staff, we are also reducing the number of supervisory signatures and approvals to 2 for direct replacement in our system, PARS. We are working with our vendor to update that workflow, so you may not see immediate changes, but know that they are coming. Also, we have new, for those who have new positions or changes in a position, those will still go through the cabinet member for approval. If you have any questions or need more information, especially as you are preparing to refill positions, feel free to reach out to your HR liaison or myself. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Marnie. I appreciate it. As you can tell, we're trying to pilot and really try and honor the value of innovation. Let's try some new things, see how they work, make sure that we're measuring a variety of different metrics to see if these things can help, again, remove pain points, as well as make it even easier for great talent to come to SLCC. So the final portion of this is what you can do. And I want to pause real quick because I think Anjali was going to do this slide and I added number 4. So Anjali, do you want to do this or do you want me to?
Be my guest.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that we can do as individuals at SLCC. The first one is that considering inclusive job descriptions. And some of you might be thinking, I don't know what that means. I want you to reach out to our Search Advocate program as well as our awesome employment coordinators, and they can help you with writing inclusive job descriptions. And there are times and places where we sometimes add things we don't need to that exclude, even just in the writing of the job description. Second, you just heard about our staff hiring pilot program. So if you are a hiring manager, consider piloting that program or being a part of the pilot program. You can't pilot the program, we're doing that. You heard about our Search Advocate program. So please email Shaw. And if you want to be a Search Advocate, want more information about it, Anjali and the team have been working to redesign to make it as accessible for individuals, as well as building up a community of practice. So if there's that a little bit of a hesitancy that you're not sure you're going to want to know what to do, we've really tried to build and are continuing to build a community around our Search Advocates. And finally, I added number 4. In this session, we've talked a lot about a wide variety of topics related to justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, bias. And these are all things that we are in different spaces in learning. So I would encourage you, I went in just this morning and went into our LinkedIn Learning platform and put like diversity in hiring, and a whole lot of stuff popped up in terms of everything from 3-minute videos to learn a little bit to an 8-hour long learning path. So if we've piqued your curiosity, which I hope we have, we've also hopefully piqued your interest in you getting involved, please take the time to reach out to Anjali, be a part of one of our pilots, take some time this afternoon, participate in one of our panels, or take a LinkedIn Learning class. So finally, we want people to want to be here. And one of the biggest and most successful ways for us to recruit is by your word of mouth. So we want SLCC to be a place everyone wants to be, as Whitney and Juan mentioned in their portion of it. A lot of it is the experience that we create that people want to share and invite people to the college. So if you are having a great SLCC employment experience, which I hope you are, I encourage you to spread the word in your communities as well and learn more about each of the different programs. Thank you, Anjali. I see there's some questions in here. Anjali, thank you for putting the LinkedIn Learning. James has answered Brandy's question. We are right at time. I'm going to stop sharing and I'll stay on for a couple of minutes if there are additional questions. Thank you for those who participated and have been asking questions. Again, Strategy 11, like all of our strategies, is all of our work. And we are all responsible for creating a great and welcoming culture that everyone feels like they can belong in. So thank you for being here today at SLCC 360 and this specific session. And I look forward to further questions, conversations, and awesome search committees at SLCC.
Thank you, Sarah. Great slideshow. This is Jan.
Thanks, Jan. Thanks for all of your